offer opportunity to get to work, to get up to, I see a Giants fan here, get up to the Giants game, wherever you may be going, and to do it safely, quickly, quietly, and sustainably. We can have it all when we make smart investments in our infrastructure and technology. And these trains get us just one step closer to our goal of being carbon neutral, a big ambitious goal the city has set. Without CalTrain, so many of us would not be able to participate in the innovation economy that exists here in our very special valley and extends up to the beautiful, smaller city to our north of San Francisco. And I can say that as someone who has taken the train myself many times. In fact, for years when running a startup in San Francisco, I took the train every single day to avoid sitting on 101 or 280 for, round trip, maybe 3 hours a day, right? So it creates convenience, safety, and now speed and a cleaner environment. This is a huge investment. I want to thank a few people who made this possible before I turn things over to CalTrain Board Chair Deb Davis, who's been an incredible advocate for CalTrain. Some of the folks, we actually did the first inaugural ride coming out of San Francisco a few weeks back, and literally we could fill an entire train with all the people we need to thank. But there are a few people in particular I just want to give a quick shout out to. That includes our Governor Gavin Newsom has been a great champion. Speaker Nancy Pelosi, of course, has championed this. The late Senator Feinstein. In fact, when I was serving on Carl Guardino's board of the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, I distinctly remember a meeting we had with then Senator Feinstein where she said she would work with us to find the federal funds to help close that gap to electrify this route because of how much it means for creating economic opportunity for families in our region. Senator Alex Padilla, the entire federal delegation, of course, our Secretary of Transportation, Secretary Washakin, the state delegation, I believe we are joined by Assemblymember Cola here. There he is. And Supervisor Chavez, glad you were able to make it. Supervisor Carl Guardino, who I mentioned, and I know Chair Davis will say a little more here, but Carl has been a tireless advocate and champion for investments in infrastructure, especially helping people get around our region more safely, more cleanly, more conveniently. And we'll say a little more about Carl's incredible contribution here. I know we've also been supported over the years by Roseanne Faust, who's President and Chief Executive Officer of SAMCETA up in San Mateo County. And then, of course, have had great partnership from Jim Wunderman, the Bay Area Council, and more recently, Ahmad Thomas, who stepped into Carl's very, very large shoes at the leadership group. We're joined by a number of great speakers today. I'll introduce them in just a moment. I'm going to close with just 2 lines in Spanish for our Spanish language audience here. Hoy los nuevos trenes eléctricos de CalTrain están en servicio para todos. Estos trenes ayudarán a conectar nuestra región y nuestros residentes y comunidades. Son más rápidos y mejores para el medio ambiente. Nos ayudarán a alcanzar nuestros objetivos climáticos. Gracias a todos que lo hacen. All right, now with that, I am so pleased to introduce City Council Member Deb Davis, who represents this area, but more importantly for today's purposes is your chair on the CalTrain board. Councilor Davis.
Good morning. I agree with the mayor. We are living in the future. That's why I got my Star Trek earrings on today. As chair of the CalTrain board, it is my immense pleasure to welcome you to this historic occasion today. We celebrate a monumental milestone in our journey. The full electrification of our railroad from San Francisco to San Jose, all 51 miles, are electrified today, and we've got new service that is more frequent. So it's not just faster, more reliable, and quieter. It is also more frequent, which is the big selling point for me. Yeah. So on our main line, we've replaced all of our 30-plus-year-old diesel trains with electric trains that will use 100% renewable energy. With these state-of-the-art trains, we will be running service, as you know, that provides a world-class experience for everyone, and that includes free Wi-Fi on the trains. So the mayor has already listed a number of our partners at the federal, state, and local levels who have worked tirelessly to give this vision a reality, and I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to them as well. I also want to express my gratitude and ask for a round of applause for all the folks in the operations of CalTrain, from John Hogan, our COO, Henry Flores, who is the father of these trains. He's the one making sure that the babies get birthed, as he just told me today. And everybody who works at CMOP who keeps all the trains running on time. Let's give them all a round of applause. And we've got some illustrious speakers here today who have done a lot of work to ensure that we had the funding for this and we had the oversight as well. But I want to talk a little bit today about one person, and that's the person standing right here, Carl Gardino. He's the chair of the California Transportation Commission. And without Carl, we would not have had the legislation that allowed us to even get Measure RR on the ballot. And Measure RR is the reason that CalTrain is still here today since the pandemic. So, Carl, I can't say enough about what you've done for CalTrain in helping us, having the foresight to get Measure RR on the ballot, in helping us when COVID made our electrification project much more expensive, to help us get the funding that we needed to keep this project on track. And just being an advocate of the Go Pass when you were as a leader at SPLG, and ensuring that more tech companies would ride the train. I just can't say enough about how much of a champion you have been for CalTrain in our region. And so with that, I would like to present you a resolution of appreciation, which we, as the board, passed at our last meeting. And there's even more that he's done. I don't want to take up more time because I want to allow Carl some time to speak, but he has done so much for this railroad, and that is why we are presenting you with this resolution of appreciation today. Would you please be here?
May I ask my 8-year-old son, Jake, who loves CalTrain, to take this? Would you mind holding this, sir? Thank you. Because this is for generations to come. Three quick thoughts that I'd be honored to share. It takes a vision. It takes our votes. And it takes our voices. It takes a vision by people like Rod Diridon Sr. that we're going to hear from. For whom this station is aptly named, who never lost sight or hope to move incredible mountains to make the electrification of CalTrain possible. Can you join me in thanking Rod? And I was so glad that Mayor Mahan mentioned our many meetings with Senator Feinstein. I remember one of those meetings in DC where she picked up the phone in her office and said, "Carl, I need you to go see two friends of mine. One was Utah conservative Republican Senator Orrin Hatch. The other was Maine Republican Senator Susan Collins." And sitting in her back office, she called them both and said, "I'm sending down my friend Carl Gardino. We need to electrify CalTrain. Orrin, this is 500 Utah jobs. Susan, this is jobs in Maine. He's coming now to see you both." Remember bipartisanship and the vision for a better valley, but a better America, because people could work across the aisle? Let's not lose that. It took the vision of our dear friend Anna Eshu, who you're going to be honoring at the next stop later today, and also richly deserved. But it also takes our votes, and I'm reminded of that 45 days before the final votes are cast in a crucial election in our country today. And it's so nice to see Jason Baker and Jessica Zhang, and I hope Mateo Cabeda here today. I had the honor of serving for 24 years at the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, where we ran 19 campaigns, 18 successfully for transportation, for affordable homes, for open space, for education. 7 of those campaigns for transportation alone. But in 2016, that was Measure B here in Santa Clara County. $1.014 billion for vital CalTrain improvements. Cindy Chavez, you worked with us so closely on that campaign. We won with 72% of the vote because of the vision of voters in this region to provide that $1.014 billion. 2 years later, regional measure 3, 9-county measure with CalTrain funding. And then in 2020, measure RR. Michelle Bouchard, you couldn't be engaged in the campaign, but CalTrain staff provided the technical expertise of how this would benefit residents in this 3-county region. All 3 of those passed, providing close to $2 billion for CalTrain improvements, because it takes our votes, and every vote counts. And then finally, it takes our voices, because we span generations with a generational improvement like this. From Rod Diridon Sr.'s voice to Monica Mellon's voice. We span generations of transit advocates to make these happen. So on behalf of the California Transportation Committee, that I've been honored to serve 3 governors, 5 4-year terms, and as chair of the commission, this journey has been throughout my 18 years on the commission to pass funding at the state level in that layer cake of local, sub-regional, regional, state, and federal funds that bring us out today in such an electric environment to celebrate together. But with that, I'd like to turn this back over to our MC. To San Jose Mayor Matt Haynes.
Thank you, Carl. We have been so blessed to have Carl's vision and leadership for transportation in our region for so long. And the same is true of Councilmember Davis, your CalTrain board chair, who may be terming out this year, but we're going to keep her involved in regional policy and advocacy and leadership, because she's just been a wealth of knowledge that has rubbed off on me, and I know it has rubbed off on our next speaker, your downtown council member, who I know cannot wait for Bart to come through downtown and connect to this station, Councilmember Torres.
Good morning, everyone. I serve on the San Jose City Council with a cool mom and a cool dad. But I also share downtown with Councilmember Dev Davis, so we both share downtown San Jose. And what a celebration today, right? These electric trains are quiet, really quiet. Gone are the days where the loud diesel trains are plowing through our neighborhoods. I should know, because my mom's backyard is a CalTrain stop. And so this is a big deal for our environment. But the reason why I'm here, because let's talk about how it's going to help downtown San Jose. More people coming in, grabbing coffee, hitting up lunch spots or having dinner, shopping local. It's going to boost our local economy. Most importantly, dollars are going to be spent here in downtown San Jose. Downtown San Jose is open for business. You know I have to say that, right? Anyways, whether you're commuting, visiting, or running your business, this is going to make life in downtown San Jose smoother, faster, and let's be real, more fun. And before I hand over the mic, I do want to say a huge thank you to Haley and Brandon for organizing the market here today. So let's give them a round of applause. So let's hop on board and ride into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Omar Torres. Next, I'm so proud to introduce someone who needs no introduction, who's been another visionary, legendary local leader for decades, Supervisor Cindy Chavez, who, by the way, just before she speaks, I want to say is, you may not know this, but is literally working tirelessly 7 days a week with all the stakeholders you see here and many more to plan for the future and think about how do we close the coming fiscal cliff that so many of our agencies around the region close? How do we ensure that we can continue to make those investments in service levels and infrastructure to connect all of our communities and create that access and opportunity? So it's been such a pleasure to work with her in her role as board chair at BTA. I know she's been a huge supporter of this work as well. So Supervisor.
Thank you so much, Mayor Mahan. We have been like tied at the hip, right? We're not leaving each other alone until we get this all across the finish line. So I am beyond thrilled. First of all, to be in the presence of former Supervisor Rod Dearden, who this station is named after, like just like Carl was right, vision. The activist like Carl Gordino, like honestly, that has been, you know, frankly, asking you for money for generations, and you've come through. Thank you, voters of Santa Clara County. We're just so grateful to you for your vision, your commitment, and thank you for your service. You are amazing. That brings us to having, you know, Michelle Bouchard, our fearless leader at CalTrain, who really pulled the team together to get this across the finish line. We really cannot thank her enough. And I want to say truly, truly to Deb Davis, who's been the chair of the board, and oh, by the way, who volunteered to be the chair again, because she was just so committed to making sure that electrification happened. And honestly, and I'm so excited that Ash Kalra is here, because Ash has been a part of this work for generations and just kindly working behind the scenes. So thank you, Dave. Well, she's older. I mean, I know he looks young. I know, he used to be the baby. We're all growing up. Now, we don't want it to happen. Just as a reminder, this is a $2.4 billion investment in clean energy and moving people from point A to point B. And the reality is that Jake, who I see right here, and Dorian, can you come up and just check this out, you guys? Dorian made this himself because he decided he wanted to be CalTrain for Halloween. But when we think about our jobs, our responsibility is to make sure that we are clearing the path for the Dorians and the Jakes of the world, because our obligation is to the next generation. So I'm just thrilled, and I'm thrilled about our partnership between Santa Clara County, San Francisco, and San Mateo. And even though we fight like brothers and sisters, we are in fact related. And that means that no matter what happens, we're all getting together at Thanksgiving and making sure that we're loving on each other and that we continue to produce for the residents of today and the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor, for all your leadership and introducing us to Dorian's amazing costume. That is so cool. And Supervisor Chavez already said it, but Assemblyman Calra has been such a stalwart advocate and ally for transportation, for mobility investments, for knowing that it is what enables opportunity for so many in our city. I saw him out at the East Ridge Connector. He's here today. He's at the park groundbreaking. He's been an advocate for transit and infrastructure for our community for a very long time.
Thank you so much, Mayor. We've been blessed. Bob Gonzalez, Sam Ricardo, Matt Mahan, and we've had a consistent string of mayors that have been on, not just on message, but have acted to ensure that we continue to fight for transportation solutions. And so thank you. Thank you for representing the city that all of us love so well in that regard. And Dorian, I didn't know, I love Halloween. I was struggling to figure out what I want to be for. I didn't know I could be CalTrain. I would have done that years ago. But it's great to be here. Rod Dierdon Sr., who's really put all of the mayors over the years and council members and supervisors feet to the fire to ensure we're doing the proper investment. We already heard a lot about the work of Carl Bardino. I want to ditto that because he's been an extraordinary leader. And look, it takes, as we hear, it takes collaboration, right? Everything that we do takes collaboration in order for us to achieve such a great big project like this. I was on the CalTrain board when we started Wi-Fi. I was on the CalTrain board when we signed the MOU with High Speed Rail to start the process of electrification. And so the leadership, now with Michelle Boussard, we've had great leadership and great staff, great teams that have seen it through, passing that critical baton forward. And one of the things we focus on under the leadership of Governor Newsom, Speaker Rivas, Pro Tem McGuire, and again, this is a generational issue we pass the baton on, is climate change and how we combat it. And we know one of the things that we can do as government, as policymakers, and as residents that is so impactful is to get out of our cars and get onto trains, get onto bicycles, leave the cars at home, or don't have one altogether. That's one of the biggest ways we can collectively combat climate change. And that's why this project is so, so important. So I'm so grateful to be here in downtown. Of course, we have a wonderful representative, Councilor Omar Torres, who fights for downtown every single day. But I want to do my final two thank yous to these two wonderful women. Chair Davis, who's been an extraordinary council member, extraordinary leader on transportation, chairing our CalTrain board, has never lost sight of the importance of us working together as a team. And of course, Supervisor Cindy Chavez, who has dedicated so much of her life to this city, county, state, and country. And transportation is just one of many areas where her mark will be left for generations to come. And so thank you all so much for being here as part of this really important celebration. And I'm excited about are you all excited about these trains? I know we like to talk, you're not here for us, you're here for the train. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Assemblymember. We're almost there. I know we're between you and the train. Don't worry, we're going to get there. We talked a lot about vision and organizing and getting votes and raising the money and all the pieces that go into making these projects possible. At the end of the day, though, the hardest work is execution, actually delivering. And you hear those horror stories of projects going off the rails, excuse another pun. But I gotta say, CalTrain Executive Director Michelle Boussard has been an incredible executor, operator, team leader. She and her team at CalTrain delivered this project. They did it with incredible skill. I'm so excited to invite up your Executive Director, Michelle Boussard, to say a few words.
Thank you, Los San Jose. I am so humbled to be amongst you today, and I am so humbled to be at the top of this organization during such a critical time. I think Cindy Chavez called the CalTrain organization small but mighty. And so I want to give a shout out to the small but mighty CalTrain and Tassie organization that delivers every single day safe operations, maintenance, and construction on this right of way. Because if we don't have safety, we don't have anything. And we have been calling this program Transformation for the Peninsula. And it's transformative in so many different ways. It's transforming service for our equity communities. It's transforming customer experience for those on board, and it's transforming the experience in our communities. I was at a presser this morning, and there were 4 trains that came in and out of the station, and we didn't have to stop talking because we couldn't hear them. And that's a huge benefit of this, it has to be said. But it has been alluded to before. Really, what we're doing is we're doing this for the next generation. And I am so glad that there are kids on the peninsula who are never going to smell a diesel fume, and they're never going to hear a diesel train. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
And last but certainly not least, the man this station is named after. There has been no greater visionary or advocate for transit in our community and for achieving our climate goals than Rod Dierdon. This is someone who, going back over 50 years ago, saw a state built around the single occupancy vehicle and the single family home, and said, if we're going to keep growing, we got to do it in a smarter, better, more responsible way. And he never stopped telling that story and inspiring future generations of leaders to think differently, to think more holistically, more responsibly. When I decided to run for mayor, he wasn't even supporting me. He made me come to his house and sit down and get a lecture on urban planning and transit and where we need to go. And of course I obliged, because I know I needed the lesson. It was great. I learned a lot, and we've continued to be in touch. And I'm just so grateful to former Supervisor Rod Diridon for his just unparalleled leadership for decades in our community. Rod, thank you.
He was introduced at the Rotary Club on Wednesday as a man of unparalleled integrity. I agree. He's our mayor. I'm going to talk only briefly. It's nice and warm out there, isn't it? I'm going to talk only briefly about the past. I think I may be the only one here that can remember the past. And the future, because I'm currently co-chair of the U.S. High-Speed Rail Coalition in Washington, trying to bring high-speed rail to Quickly, the past began in the early 1970s when we did the Peninsula Corridor Joint Powers Board study of the future of the peninsula. The leaders of those studies were Tom Nolan. Many don't remember Tom, but he was a giant of the San Mateo Cavalry, and myself. And I was a kid that didn't know where his rear end was most of the time, but I did know about railroading. And so that evolved through an organization because we had very great staff. Remember Louis Ames? Maybe none of you do. Louis was a giant of the transportation community. He's retired in Berkeley now. And Ricky Silver, who was Tom's assistant. And we ran hearings up and down the peninsula in the mid-70s, telling what was left of the CalTrain riders, only 12,000 riders a day at that time, that they were going to lose their train. And those hearings evolved into thousands of people telling the state legislature that they had to save the train. And with the help of Becky Morgan, we got $218 million from a Republican governor who didn't want to give it to us, but Becky persuaded him. And then we bought the train. And it's evolved since then. Now let me skip forward. The electrification, you've heard about that today. It was phenomenal. It leads the nation now in what to do with railroading. And let me tell you that it's being heard all over the nation as people think about expanding their rail system or renovating the rail system. The first thing they think about is electrification of that system. Now, what we have to look toward in the future, and my life now is dedicated to fighting climate change, is turning everything into electric power. We're a shining example of how to do it. The next thing you're going to see here is that system extended down to Gilroy. Please. So that it becomes a feeder and distribution system for the network of rail being developed down in Santa Cruz County, down to Hollister, and eventually connecting under the Pacheco Pass in 4 tunnels, one of them 15 miles long, high-speed rail over to the system that is almost built now in the Central Valley. And at 85, it is my fondest thought that I'll be around when that first train pulls into San Jose on its way to San Francisco, fully electrically powered, and just having done 220 miles an hour in a 55-minute trip between Fresno and San Jose. So it's going to take each one of them, not just for California, but for the United States. A last thought, and a sobering thought. China is 1.4 billion people, and they create the same amount of pollution as we do in the United States, with 340 million. That's over four times the amount of pollution per person as the U.S. Over China. We've got to do better. Make a joke crusade now to turn everything to electric power and point to CalTrain as the reason you can do it. Thank you very much for being here.
All right, everybody, in just a minute, we're going to get on the train, free ride today, and let's head up to Peninsula and just have a great day. Thank you all so much for coming out today. Is there anything else I was supposed to say, Board Chair? We're good. All right. Go CalTrain!